We're beautiful. Oh, we're beautiful. We're live, is what I meant to say. We are beautiful.
Live and beautiful.
We are live and beautiful. Oh, that is the perfect thing to say. Libby is definitely live and beautiful. I'm really loving your whole candlelit vibe. You just look so sensuous and delicious.
Yeah.
And really gorgeous. So it's wonderful to have you. Everybody, welcome to Self-Love and Sex Talks, which I'm quite excited because I've been doing self-love talks now for a couple of years, and I've not actually ever, well, we've touched on sex a little bit, sacred sexuality, but we haven't really, we've never gone to the place that we're going to go to today. And I don't know why that is. I guess it just hasn't happened. I didn't meet the right person at the right time, and now is the right person at the right time. And so this is a really, really beautiful, intimate, sacred, beautiful, juicy moment, really. We're going to have a nice hangout this evening with Libby Sheppard here from London.
Who, I'm in Stockholm right now, though.
Okay, Stockholm, international expert on sex, intimacy, sensuality, a sex coach, you call yourself. I tell you what, Libby, how would you tell everybody what you do?
Thanks. First of all, just to say again, I'm so happy to be here and to talk to you and yeah, dive into this blending of our worlds and where they meet. So I am, yes, I would describe myself as an intimate body worker and a sex coach. I work predominantly with touch-based sessions, helping people to feel more sensation in their body, whether that's physical sensations, pleasure, more emotional sensations as well. Sometimes into the kind of energetic field, if that's where people are open to or curious about, but the majority of my work is really based in these physical bodies that we have, and the joy and the sensations and the pleasure that we have access to.
So when I met you the other day,
very briefly,
on the beach, I was like, so Libby, what do you do? And you said, well, I massage people's genitals.
Yeah, that's the kind of short beach walk answer.
Yeah. But I really love that. I really love when you just, you say what it is. Because sometimes I think we can get really fluffy language or spiritual language or politically correct language or something, and it's like, what do you really mean? It kind of leaves it a little bit open to interpretation. We can skirt around the edges of something, right? Which is, of course, if we're talking about massage, skirting around the edges is lovely. And we also want that. What do you really mean? Like, what does that look like?
What does it physically?
What do you mean? Because we relate to everything on a sensory level, don't we? We taste it, we touch it, we smell it. So it needs to be tangible. So in a tangible way, can you tell people exactly actually what you're into?
Yeah, thank you, Tara. So the majority of my sessions involve genital touch. That's the kind of area that we're working on in terms of bringing more awareness to that area with contact, with stimulation, with with kind of reawakening that area. A lot of people that I work with are very numbed out in terms of their whole body, but particularly their genitals. They're coming for sessions with me because they're facing like particular sexual issues. With a lot of men that I work with, it's maybe premature ejaculation or a lack of choice around their ejaculatory response. Might be erectile difficulties, performance anxiety. For a lot of the female clients that I work with, the issues or the kind of motivations for coming for sessions are typically things like maybe pain during sex, a feeling of numbness in the genitals, maybe one that I hear a lot from women actually is that the inability to kind of orgasm with a partner or from stimulation with their own hands. Is a reliance on vibrators, and that's kind of into a vicious cycle then of you need more and more of that buzz, literally, which kind of numbs you out to the subtler sensations of touch and maybe the intimacy that you have.
And by buzz you mean like
literally the buzz of a vibrator, the very high frequency,
just to get the buzz, right? Just to get that little high.
So that's the kind of nitty gritty. And so my day-to-day life involves massaging people's genitals, people's assholes. I work a lot with the one of the biggest things that my male clients are curious about is anal massage, anal touch, prostate stimulation, the experience of being penetrated. It's, you know, the arse is a taboo kind of area for a lot of men, but also hold this curiosity, this desire, this longing, and also
women as well.
Certainly for women as well.
It's either you know, it can be, the curiosity can be both one of disgust and pushing away, but also like, what, you know, what is it? It can be both, can't it?
Yeah, and it's, you know, there's the thing with the, I mean, we're going straight into the arsehole, which is great. I love anything to do with anal, but anal massage honestly is one of the most relaxing and intimate experiences you can receive, or, you know, even to give as well to a partner. And the benefits of that on your whole nervous system are so incredible. It's the only way to kind of directly access the smooth muscle of your digestive system. You know, you're touching on that anal sphincter, which kind of sends all those signals up into the digestive system, your enteric nervous system, your kind of emotional brain of your gut, which is very
sense. The emotional brain part makes sense, but I never thought about your actual internal. I guess it is. It's right into your
so it's you know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to explore in your body and become familiar with that area and access those kind of more deeply relaxed states. And when we can kind of access those, when we're not in that fight or flight, when we're able to calm and regulate the nervous system, that's when we're then able to access more of these pleasurable, orgasmic, blissful states when it comes to arousal and sexual energy.
Oh my goodness. So I just want to have a breath in this moment. You've already said so much, and I'm like, okay, let's go back. And I just want to say to everybody, if you are here right now with us, you are absolutely in for a treat, because I feel like we're going to dive in and have the most incredible conversation here and learn some amazing things. I know that this beautiful young woman really knows her business and knows some incredible things. So she's going to share, Libby's going to share that with us. And I also want to explore the self-love within this, and love, intimacy, emotional intimacy, connection. I also want to, I would love to talk about the porn element and the kind of the really self-effacing version of what people call self-love, which really isn't love at all, but that kind of insipid, I love myself, you know, which of course is a lot of pain and wounding in that. That's a loss of self. So we can talk about that. We can talk about, you know, the triggers, the pain, the wounding that gets locked into these organs, gets locked into our, you know, very important, if we look at it in the chakra system, base chakra, sacral chakra, navel chakra, these are really important elements of us embodying who we are as a human being. And it's been massively distorted. What can we learn about that conditioning? What can we learn about being in our power? True power, not destructive power, or I want to say kind of damaged use of power, but rather right power, rightful power, king, queen energy, that kind of thing. Also connecting into our birth, our innocence, you know, and coming back to the real roots of perhaps what sex and sexuality is. So there's so much here to talk about. I don't know if we're going to have time to do it all, but we certainly want to touch on some of it. And I also just want to let you know in advance, guys, please write your comments. We want to hear what you feel about this.
Because it's a juicy area, you know. There's,
right, exactly. And so we've got thank you for watching, by the way. We've got some people watching, but we please, like, say how you feel about this. It might be that thing where you go, oh my goodness, that she just said, you know, ejection or erectile dysfunction or something, you know, she just said something. Oh my goodness, you know. And I did think, okay, shall we have an adult warning on this? But 18-year-olds and over are the only ones that are legally allowed to use Facebook, so I'm just going to say that. And we want to know what you think, what you feel. And I know it might feel vulnerable to kind of be honest about this stuff in a comment on Facebook, fair enough. I don't want you to put yourself out of any comfort, but also feel free to join in the conversation. Because what if we could open this up? What if we could bring something very sacred and holy and beautiful and pleasurable and orgasmic and amazing to the world and heal our trauma and our pain around this? And what if you could be part of that? I think that would be personally really amazing. So please feel free to put your comments and any questions that you have for Libby. And just to let you know that at the end, Libby's going to give a coupon code to get a discount off her genital massage courses, which we're going to talk about at the end. Okay, so if you keep watching to the end, Libby will give you a discount coupon, and we all love a discount coupon.
We all love a code.
Doesn't love a coupon.
Yeah. So there's just, I want to just grab onto something that you said there about, you know, that this is talking about our genitals, talking about physical pleasure, talking about sex, talking about arousal, talking about intimacy. Is one of the, I think, one of the most unhad conversations in our culture, in our society. There's, you know, it's either something that we just don't talk about at all. It's very kind of, you know, brushed under the carpet. I don't know about you, but growing up, maybe your experience was different, but I was never told anything about my body, about my genitals, about the experience of touching myself, of touching other people. So there was this kind of, you know, shroud of shame, and I picked up a lot of my habits and ideas around sex and arousal from porn, and I don't know, maybe from just other children, you know, at kind of 14, 15, 16, that kind of age. That's where I was starting to really explore. So there's either this sort of shroud of unsaid stuff, and we don't really have a language to express what we feel in our genitals, or what we want, what kind of touch we want, what things feel good, what things we want to explore, what we're curious about. Or we have this very kind of bravado language on stuff, and it's quite hard. And you talked about this like insipid, I love myself, almost kind of egoic type of self-love. And for me, there's a little bit of that in the very kind of blasé way that people talk about their genitals. Sometimes it's comedic, it's a front for insecurity or uncertainty. So there's a lot of the clients that I work with, you know, the conversation they have with me in a first session about how they want to be touched is the first time in their lives they've ever said the name of their genitals out loud, whatever that might be, their penis, their cock, their vagina, their pussy, their cunt, you know, however they want to describe their genitals, it's maybe the first time that word has come out of their mouth. So it's a funny old one that we're not, I think, as a culture, we're still learning, and I'm still learning how to have these conversations and feel relaxed about them, and not feel embarrassed, and not feel shame, or feel empowered and confident and joyful about the way I talk about my body and my genitals.
I love that you shared about, because I was going to ask you that, like, how did you get into this? Because you started off as a sports massage or therapeutic massage, didn't you? Sports therapist, I think you said.
Yeah. My background, I was a personal trainer. I still do kind of more deep tissue, traditional type massage as well from time to time. That's kind of what got me into the body work. And then I started exploring tantra with a partner that I was with at the time, and there was this, kind of light bulb moment of, I can blend a passion for the body and the kind of physical enjoyment and my slightly geeky brain around the science side with, like, sex is something that we can enjoy, and pleasure is something that is okay, and there's like a whole other dimension of when it comes to intimacy and connection that I discovered through the world of tantra, that is so very, very different, a very different narrative to what I'd been given growing up about sex, which was, shame and guilt and lots of worrying messages about pregnancy and STIs. So that was kind of the limit of my sexual education.
But giving our parents a break from this, it's like when you look at how long this stuff has been buried or hidden in shame or misused and abused, and how religion has played a part, which I don't think we should get into particularly today, although that's an enormous subject to get into. But just how, let's say, that conditioning and even, spirituality, it's all about the up, it's all about the ascension and getting out of your body and transcending your ego and, ignoring the pleasures of the body, like how egotistical to have pleasure, how indulgent, how, I was actually thinking of Chaucer, the Chaucer writings that I studied in school. We had to study about the avarice and the greed and the lustfulness and the lustfulness and all these things you shouldn't have, and how it was bad, and purge that from your system and cleanse, and whip yourself on the back, and or go into a nunnery or whatever it was to purify the sin of sex. And to do that purification, it's been abstinence, or don't talk about it, or pretend it's not there, which, like most things that human beings don't understand, just bury it, cover it up, hide it, mask it, shame it, banish it, and it will go away.
Don't touch it. Don't go near it.
Don't get curious. You might get STDs, or you might get whatever. You're going to get HIV. You're going to get something. Don't go there.
Something will bite you in the butt.
Something is going to come out of that dark cave and get you and pull you in. And oh my God, you could bleed off. Be led by temptation, and that's it. It'll have to write you off. You've gone to the devil. You've gone to the whatever. But it's like, I think that as a culture, people generally do that. They go, I don't understand something, it's riddled in darkness and that shame, and so let me protect myself just by cutting off from it, like you said, numbing out. When we've been traumatized, we cut off, we numb out. It's that same reaction response to when we don't understand something. And then of course this, what's unhealthy, festers underneath that. And so how do we get back to that? How do we get back to the uncovering of all this shame and blame and guilt and all this nasty stuff, and get back to the true essence of what sexuality is, what sexual energy is? Because at the end of the day, it's made every single one of us.
Absolutely. It is our other than the need for food and nourishment, it's the most primal driver in your body. You know, this is an instinct and a desire that is driven by your limbic brain, the oldest part of your brainstem, the emotional kind of center that deals with food, shelter, connection, and reproduction. So there's...
What about people who go that, okay, yeah, but we should transcend eating food, we should become breatharians, and you know, we shouldn't need shelter because we're gonna, you know what I mean, we should live outdoors, and so therefore this reptilian or animalistic part of the brain we should, you know, evolve out of. Is that I'm taking it a step too far there?
No, just like I totally I totally can understand that, and like that we have evolved from reptilian brain. We've got another, you know, another whole aspect to our consciousness that we're able to access now here in the 21st century. But like personally, just my personal opinion is, we walk around in a physical body. We were gifted,
yeah,
with a physical body,
yeah,
and for me it just feels unloving to not want to nourish your body, to not want to touch your body, to not want to engage with the sensations that we've been gifted. So and each to their own, you know, maybe breatharian things work for some people for a period of time and have huge benefits, and I'm sure there are extreme insights and wonderful things that can come from that. But just for me personally, and the kind of the field that I work in, touch, physical enjoyment, that kind of not denying that we are made up of those elements, as well as our capacity for creative thought and a higher level of consciousness, I think is the key. And that's, you know, just personally, that's a thread in my life, like having balance, not going so far off in that direction, but actually keeping an even keel when it comes to the base, the root, the genitals, the physical connection to the sex and the gut, and also, you know, the ability to transcend that as well. So balance would be the thing that I would want to maybe gift or share in this life that I have.
No, I agree. We're both. Body needs what the body needs, soul needs what the soul needs, spirit needs, and it's all about connection, I suppose, at the end of the day. And it is about that love and that being met. How do, you know, when you have people coming to you who are heavily conditioned, traumatized, numbed out, disconnected, shamed, whatever, like, how do you help people get back onto that path of, you know, rather than the disconnection and kind of keeping the monster in the closet kind of thing? How do people start to approach this in a way that they can get back to that true essence of what their sexual energy and their physical sexual organs are all about, and the emotional intimacy that goes with that, which I think some people are probably more scared of the emotional context than perhaps even the touch context or the whatever else. So how do people get back? How do they heal?
So I guess the first thing that I would say is, you know, a lot of the people that I work with, not that I'm tricking them, but they don't know 100% what it is that they're getting into when they so maybe the motivation for a lot of people for sessions with me is there is still a little layer of shame there. Like it's technically I'm a sex worker because I touch genitals and I work with pleasure and I work with body to body contact. So there's often there's like a kind of an inkling of wanting connection and wanting intimacy, but maybe not being able to voice that in a like high level of clarity. So I don't, not that I'm not tricking people and doing voodoo on them, but meeting people where they're at is the first kind of important part of the way I work. And perhaps, like I mentioned at the beginning, some people aren't ready to work with that energetic level. Some people aren't ready to work with that emotional level. Some people are purely there to connect with the physical level. So I meet people where they're at. We have a conversation at the beginning of every session to kind of start this ball rolling of actually connecting to your desire and expressing kind of where they're at now. And like you said, that emotional intimacy is often the hardest bit for people to, speaking to a stranger, speaking to me as a practitioner is like a layer is taken away. These things are often more difficult to talk to your intimate partner about. So
absolutely,
a lot of people who maybe are in long-term relationships, when I work with couples who come to me, they're feeling a little bit stuck. They're not kind of sure where to go, but maybe the ideas or just looking through a different lens in a session with me and exploring different ways of touching each other, different ways of communicating, different ways of using their breath, moving their bodies. There's no gadgets, there's no bells and whistles to what I do. It's very, very simple embodied tools, breath, sound, movement, to kind of give this foundation of a sense of embodiment and mindfulness to then take out into your intimacy. And I think for me, in all the years I've been doing this, the ability to calm and regulate your nervous system when it comes to intimacy, arousal, pleasure, to be present, to be mindful, that's the key, that's the magic ingredient, so that we're not kind of stuck up here in the narrative and the anxiety and the insecurity and the disconnection, that we're actually connected to our own bodies first and foremost, and then whatever flows from there with a partner is it's connected. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Because what I hear in that is learn how to connect with yourself first and know yourself and learn to love yourself so that you can then know how to connect with another and truly love them. So I interpreted it in that way because that's the way that I communicate and what I see that works. Is that right? Have I interpreted that in the way that you kind of meaning it, or in a different way?
Yeah, no, absolutely, almost word for word. That before, I mean, one of the things I sort of share in my online courses with the genital massage is before you touch another person, make sure that you are aware of what is going on in your own body. What physical sensations can you feel? Where is your breath? What emotional stuff is moving for you? Can you kind of sink and settle and relax any holding or tension that's there? So yeah, finding yourself, finding your own body before you even come into contact with another person, and the reverse of that, before you are touched. as well, the same
because there is so much to unpack and learn in this, isn't there? Because you might think, okay, well, you know, let's think about a classic teenage boy situation. I'm going to massively generalize here, so please forgive me. Okay, I'm just going to come up with a I want to try
you have had teenage boys, so you are more of an authority than I am.
I'm not going to talk about my teenage boys, because actually we, you know, this is, I'm not talking about a natural experience. I'm just saying the classic thing of a teen, let's say teenage boy, probably, you know, teenage girls just as much, but who knows. The teenage boy discovers his penis. He discovers the arousal. He learns to play with himself. He learns to, you know, what he likes, what stimulates him. He learns to ejaculate. He learns, you know, whatever a boy learns. So in that sense, he might be going, oh, I like this and I don't like that, or this works, and, you know, oh, I want the lights off or the lights on, or whatever, you know. I don't know, I can only imagine. But then I guess it's a whole another ball game, literally, of that boy coming out of the bedroom, becoming a young man, and for the first time meeting a woman or a member, you know, or a man, whatever, another human being, and engaging what he's learned, or she, with their own sense of connection, of body connection, and then bringing that to another person. And now what I think happens is a lot of people grow up and they either go, oh my God, I've got to perform, I've got to be something. And it's that kind of fake it till you make it attitude, where you've watched a movie, you've watched some porn, whatever, you've seen magazines, you think you have to look a certain way and perform a certain way. And it's like, because maybe your ego is at stake, your sex life is at stake, your reputation is at stake, your self-worth is at stake, God knows, you know, what's at stake. And so we kind of, you know, and that's happening on both sides in various degrees. I'm not good at, am I pretty enough, am I good enough, am I, you know, whatever, clash. And that clashing rather than meeting in that connection, even though they've had that self connection that we were talking about, oh, I should just be able to, you know, I'll just tell the girl to do this, or I'll just do the same thing, but with, you know, with the opposite person, with the other person, not necessarily girl. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like how to take that, okay, I think I know myself, oh, and then I bring it to someone else and I'm all over the place. Like what's missing there? Sorry, someone's at the door.
What's happening here?
Someone's at the door. I think a lot of couples go into marriages like that, and they're still like the awkward teenager, either faking it until they make it, hiding stuff, burying experience that have happened to them that wasn't very nice, trying to get over it, impress, keep the love connection, something.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there's something really valuable to kind of to remember, I think, in that we don't, so I coach people in masturbation as well. So how can you enjoy your masturbation more? How can you expand that experience? Our experience of solo sex, masturbation, self-touch, self-pleasuring is a different flavor to what we do with someone else, with one partner, with two partners, with multiple partners, whatever. So it's actually a problem or an issue that a lot of clients bring to me, that you know, I don't get the same satisfaction in partnered sex that I do when I have solo sex. It doesn't feel as good. Like the thing I was saying earlier about women, typically if they're using the vibrators when they're masturbating, and then they don't get that same level of sensation, and you know, that this experience of solo sex and masturbation is so important to develop our connection with our own body and our ability to be responsible for our pleasure, to know how we like to be touched, to know how to regulate our arousal levels, to have, oh, I've lost your sound.
I just wanted to, I need to avoid the dog barking. I just wanted to reiterate that, be responsible for your pleasure. That was really beautiful. Sorry, please continue.
No, that's, that, and that's where we learn that, you know, in our solo adventures and explorations and curiosities as teenagers and beyond. but yeah, how to then kind of translate that into a mutually nourishing and enjoyable and pleasurable and arousing intimate connection with someone else. And I think a lot of the disconnect there that I see is in our or people's and this applies to myself as well, the reluctance to be vulnerable, to acknowledge to a partner or kind of share honestly with a partner without agenda. So a lot of the time when we're coming into connection with a partner, when we're getting into that physical realm of touch and penetration and body to body contact, there's an agenda, there's something to be achieved, there's, like you said,
goal orientated. I've got to win a prize, I get a tick, I'm a stud, I'm a whatever, I'm beautiful, I'm loved, whatever that agenda is.
Yeah, I can, as a, and you said it, that they've kind of got this idea of what sex and physical intimate connection is from porn. Has an amazing, no, my mind's is right just on the edge of my awareness of this kind of, you don't watching, was it Sarah Silverman said it or something? I don't know. Anyway, there's that learning sex through porn is just the most unrealistic way to kind of engage in like what is an actual real life physical sexual connection like. Well, you can giggle, you can laugh, you can make weird noises, you can try out different things, you can check in with your partner, like, so tell me, like, does this feel nice? What should I be a little bit firmer, should I be a bit lighter? That you can.
You don't do that in the movies, do they?
They don't.
Stand up against the wall the moment you're in the front door and the clothes are up, and it's like, wow, and it was amazing, and they're all blissed out and happily in love. And
so we get this very obscure. How it's very strange to me, but yeah, that every interaction you have when you touch another human is a learning experience, and we kind of go into this. The disconnection I see is that people go in with the agenda, with the need to get something done, with the need to ejaculate, or the expectation that that's what sex is meant to result in, or as women that or as partners, that we're meant to make our partner reach this point of like this lovely neat ending of sex, like, and we're only successful if that bit is achieved. And also, we're only successful if our partner's cock is hard or our partner's vagina is wet. That there's this whole kind of fairy tale that is believed or given to us, that this is how sex and intimacy should be, rather than just meeting the person where you're at.
It's like a lot of life, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
mask wearing, it's all the fake persona, it's what we're shown in the media, it's what we're displayed as it should be like, and we all compare ourselves to all of that and think, well, now we're not good enough, and it's just not true, is it? I love what you said, just learning to touch. How many do we, we touch things all day long, but are we really touching? Are we really getting that information?
Yeah. We're touching, but we're not feeling, I would say.
Right. And maybe what we're doing is listening and not really hearing too.
Yeah.
What if we're doing that with all of our senses? Sorry, Libby, go, please continue.
No, you hit the nail on the head. Like, yeah, we're listening, but we're not hearing. We're eating, but we're not tasting. We're looking, but we're not really seeing. We're breathing, but we're not really smelling or inhaling
breathing,
or absorbing.
But not really receiving a breath, right? Not really breathing, not really living.
Yeah. So a lot of the way that I work is not flashy. It's not some kind of magical techniques or fizz bang wallop, bells and whistles, exciting stuff. And I think there's a lot of, when it comes to, there's this thing that I'm curious. So I'd say 70% of my clients are male. That's a fact. Men are in our society more likely to pay for a sexual or pleasure-based physical interaction than women are, and I don't know why that is. I would be curious as your thoughts on that. So why is it that women pay or are less likely to pay for a physical session that allows them to be touched in a very kind of safe environment where there's no reciprocation needed. Their arousal is theirs for their own experience. They can guide the touch of the practitioner and really kind of explore their own inner experience of pleasure and arousal. That's something that today in our society women are less likely to engage with and pay with on the whole, I would say. Obviously there are exceptions. Yet women spend goodness knows how many billions on the right underwear, the right makeup, the sex toys. That women are by far the higher consumers of and purchasers of sexual pleasure giving gadgetry than men are. That's something that, just to kind of put that in there, I'm still trying to figure that out and understand where that disconnect comes in terms of feeling empowered as women to explore pleasure in a really physical, practical way. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm wondering if any of our viewers will comment. See, I actually want to know. We've actually been going 42 minutes, which is amazing, because I could literally see you for literally hours. So many things I want to ask you, but I'm also kind of just going, because everyone's watching. I love you all for watching. Thank you. And I'm just wondering, there's very few comments. There's like 2 comments, and I was one of them. So I'm just wondering, and I'm just going, is everything okay technically here? Lisa's been messaging saying, she can't find us on Facebook, and yet we are live and people are watching. So I'm not sure. I've been looking at this for a while, but I didn't want to interrupt our conversation. If you're watching this, please just comment. Let us know that you're watching, where you're watching from, and if you have any thoughts on what Libby just said about why 70% of her customers are male, paying for the touch, and not the females. Yes, I had to get the link. Did you have to get the link? Oh, sweetheart, I don't know what happened there. Anyway, those of you who are watching, please share to your channels. If you're enjoying this conversation, I actually want to get a little bit more intimate here as well, Libby. If you're enjoying this, please share it to your channels. Please share it to your groups. And oh yeah, Bilal is saying hi. Thanks, Bilal. So you can actually post, and Lisa can post. That's awesome. Say hi, guys. And why do you think men, maybe men, you can answer that. Why would you go and pay, investing really? It's investing in connection.
Yes, investing in your pleasure.
Investing in your pleasure. Well, women are doing it in a different way, investing in the sex toys and the makeup and the clothes and the whatever else, the jewelry, whatever else, to get that pleasure. It's an interesting one, but
I think there's many. It's not black and white. It's nuanced, and there's many different aspects.
I tell you, you know what? I could share on that actually, because I feel that. So I grew up in the environment where everything is very spiritual and was all about love, and actually I felt shamed very early on about my body, about that I was desirable physically, and to hide it and to kind of get rid of it and to downplay it, because it triggered a lot of people. It triggered people left, right, and centre. And I definitely remember feeling as I started to, about 9, feeling my hips, I've got my body, I felt kind of, I want to say sexy, but I'm 9 years old. So I'm innocent in my, I'm aware of my little hips and I've got my little dress and my little purse. And I'm like, oh, I feel really good today. But I'm not going, I've got no context of sex because we didn't have a television. I don't know. I'm just being me, right? And yet I also became aware as I kind of came to 11, 12 years old. And it was a subtle awareness that I attracted fully grown men attention as a child. Now, this is a whole another avenue. Libby, I think we should do a whole another talk on this sexuality and children and the abuse. That I would love us to come back and touch on that. But what I want to say is there was no conversations like yours, no conversations about sex. And I know my mum did what she could to try and protect me, but it was to just downplay myself and not understand anything. And so and I also grew up in that culture of, you please the man. The woman in the family is last. The men get served, the children get served, everyone gets served except the woman. And so she's at the end of the pile. So we grow up seeing that, and it's reinforced again and again and again. The sacrificial. I can only speak for myself. This is what I learned. So when it came to my first sexual encounters that weren't actually invited by me, I didn't instigate them, I didn't ask for them, I didn't want them. I felt preyed upon, and I had no way of communicating. At that time, it was like my throat would freeze, and I didn't have the words to even say, I don't want this, or what's happening, or I'm scared, confused, I feel vulnerable. I didn't have any of those words. It's like, oh, am I being desired? I want to be desired. Oh, are you going to touch me? I want to be touched because I haven't been touched. And that would be, and it's nice to be touched. However, this is intrusive and invasive. And I'm really scared. And it's like, how do you put that into words, right? So that wasn't taught. I still think largely it's not being taught. And that, because again, like you said, it's so right what you said, because we would be exposing our vulnerability to say, hold on, I don't understand what's happening.
Can you just can you just pause for a moment, because I need to catch up and process this, and
or even,
I mean,
because I didn't invite this
as a child, stop, but
or anybody, any of us. Absolutely.
I just got extra light.
Well, that's amazing. No, it's true though, isn't it? It's like, personally, I was not taught that, and it took me a very long time going through my adult life without tuition, without guidance from somebody outside of me to say, okay, I will help you to speak about this, let alone even process the emotions that had built up in all those years when I couldn't speak, let alone tell somebody how I want to be touched. What I just knew is how I didn't want to be touched, what I didn't want to feel, and what I couldn't say. And so, I mean, still, so why wouldn't I spend money coming to, or why wouldn't I when I'm in that space? Because I would have still been in that space of, well, I'm dirty, it's dirty, I don't feel good, I feel wrong, there's something wrong with me. And so I'm not going to invest in pleasure when I feel like there's something wrong with me. And, somehow my innocence is abused. Somehow my innocence is tainted. Why would I invest in my pleasure? But I know some people do. They would go to the opposite side and say, well, I want this, I deserve it, or whatever, or to get a fix of, I don't know. I can only speak for myself. But I think that, now where I am now, having been through such a self-healing journey, and it's like, I would, when you said that, I was like, I want to do that. I would never, ever have done that a few years ago. But when you told me, I was like, I was a little bit curious, and it was like a little bit like, oh my God, I
Oh,
didn't even
yeah.
considered that.
I could do this. Someone can, I can just, go and pay someone to touch my genitals in the way that I want to be touched. And even if I'm not sure how that is yet, I can go to that person and they'll help me figure it out, because they'll listen to me, and they will only be touching me in a way that feels right for me, is guided by me, has no energy of taking. Like when I'm giving genital massage, there's nothing that I'm trying to get from that person. There is no agenda, and that dynamic is, I mean, is unusual in like the entanglement of romantic relationship. There's so many other layers that are going on with our day-to-day partner, and our who picks the kids up and who puts the bins out and all those other layers of stuff. But when you can come and have this kind of intimate experience, and that's a space for you to kind of to figure out not just how I don't want to be touched, but also how I do want to be touched, and what is okay for me today. And maybe that's not the same thing that will be okay for me tomorrow. Maybe it's not the same thing that was okay yesterday, but just to be met in that moment, in that day, with your physical body, with the things that feel okay. And maybe that's stillness, maybe that's different kinds of sensation and stimulation. And I think this is a whole other conversation that we can have around people's experience of safety in their body when it comes to intimate touch. For most people, and I see this time and time again, the first time people are in a session with me, any kind of indication of touch near their genitals, and there is this kind of response.
I did that before you even. Absolutely.
There's like an automatic, oh, something's going to happen. Someone's touching my genitals. That means I'm going to be penetrated. I'm expected to be hard. List
somebody's going to want something. Do I have
all the other stories that we have around our genitals, around sexual pleasure, around arousal, around touch. So to allow those things to be there, to allow those responses to come up in the body. And this is my kind of purpose. This is why I do this work, to help people to have an experience of receiving that kind of touch, that to get an imprint in their body of, when my genitals are touched, nothing else is happening other than what I want to happen.
Wow.
Right?
Wow, that's Libby, that's an incredibly rare gift that you can give people. Where else do we get that?
Well, hopefully, if people want to learn about how they can touch genitals and do this, this is the other reason that I've developed these online courses in giving genital massage. The courses are really aimed from the touch perspective, to help people learn and understand what that kind of touch feels like, what that kind of touch, where that kind of touch begins, that it begins in your own body. It begins in that connection to yourself and your ability to let go of the agenda and the need to get your partner to orgasm, or get your own, goal ticked off. So,
which are all learned behaviours, aren't they? They're all learned behaviours, not born, I don't think, as children.
No, because you see, I don't have children, but I have a young niece and nephew, and you see them touching and playing with each other, or when you see very young children kind of you ever seen a very young child and a very old person, and you've seen the child kind of like exploring the more kind of saggy or wrinkled soft skin of the older person? They're just fascinated. There's no like trying to achieve something. There's just this curiosity.
There's no judgment either. That's it, isn't it? Curiosity. My friends have a little baby and they always squeeze the face, pull the hair. It's like fingers in the mouth, everything. They want to explore with that curiosity, and it's so innocent and so vulnerable. And that's what makes it beautiful, right? That's what makes it like, wow, that presence that you get with a little kid or a little baby. They're so present. It's mesmerizing.
And as soon as you express to them with your facial expression, or just with a gentle, it doesn't even have to be like a strong response, just that's a bit sore, that you communicate your response to them in a very open and loving way. They see that, they adjust. Maybe they stop poking you so hard because you've said, that's a little bit sore there. So there's also this communication that goes the other way from the receiver, of our ability to communicate lovingly, because we know that the intention of the person, the child touching us, is not malicious or dangerous or designed to take something from us.
That's
because
exactly it.
There's
no agenda there. Or malicious. I love the words you use. It's like you're cooking something really delicate, the way that you speak. It's really beautiful. I love that you've touched on vulnerability. I love the without an agenda. I love the curiosity and that presence, and that there was another thing you said that I really liked. Yeah, I guess for me it just keeps coming back to that no agenda thing. And the love, obviously. That was the other thing you said, that love, that absolute love. And yet we start off in this way of how we touch and explore. We start to grow up, and then it's like all those taboos. And then there's certain things we can't do or say. And somehow all of that innocence, the touch, the curiosity, the playfulness, the love, the unguardedness,
the tenderness.
It's so sweet and present and tender, isn't it? It's just magical is what it is when you're there with the children, you're watching little babies touch each other. It's so magical. And yet as we grow up, and then it becomes, can we do that with our genitals? Children do that.
Right.
I had this friend, she has a daughter, and I think she was 3 last time I saw her, 2 or 3. And this little baby, like as any natural 2 and 3-year-old would, they don't want to wear clothes, right? She loved being naked, absolutely loved being naked. I know, I'm still like that.
I know, me too.
She loved being naked. And I was running a retreat actually, and we're in this beautiful place in a farmhouse in the middle of the countryside in Czech Republic somewhere. And this little girl, she's like running around, she's naked, and she says, she would open her legs and say, "Mummy, can you massage me here?" And her mummy would massage her there.
Yeah.
And she loved it. And it was like, it was in front of people, but it was in a really safe space. It wasn't like the child was on show. Please, don't get the
not in a supermarket or something.
No, we're in a safe retreat space. It's very intimate, it's quiet. Most people have left the room. It's just a few of us. It's lonely. It's safe. She's loved and safe in this place, right? And there's no weird anything. No. And there she is, very safely, and the mummy massages on her, whatever she called her little, whatever it was called. And it was just a little bit, and she'd get up and run around again, and she was touching people and stroking them. And it was absolutely adorable. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what a gift this mother, if you ever watch this, you'll know who you are. What a gift that this mother gave to that little girl, so that that innocence and that tenderness is applied to the genitals as well. So it's not separated and cut off. Because that's the way the damage is, isn't it? It's like you can be touched here, but not there.
This kind of blank triangle at the base of our abdomen. That's like and
the bottom area as well, like you said, it's like even more taboo. So So I've just got my
Yeah, there's I often say to, and it's, you know, people get a bit uncomfortable with this association that we can be childlike as adults about our genitals or our bodies. And there is a
intimacy in grown-up adult relationships where we should be like hot and sexy and
you can absolutely be all those things as well. You can be a fierce, you know, ball-busting dominatrix, you whatever, you know, you can totally, that's part of the rainbow of our sexuality, of our sexual energy. But for me, and in my experience, it's like this level of touch and relaxation and connection to your own body, this kind of mindful way of feeling and being present to the sensations, is a foundation.
I agree.
So if it's like, you know, I remember the first ever driving lesson I had. What was the first thing the driver taught me, the driving instructor? Where the brakes are, how to go slow. We did a 20-second slow drive, and then we practiced putting the brakes on. That's like, this is the kind of bit that we miss out on, and then our sexuality is all about that very kind of fierce or lustful or desirous or you know, hard sexual energy, which is also beautiful, but really, like, if it has that foundation of love and connection and vulnerability and that intimacy, and
without that foundation, it's like,
from there you can go on and, you know, be a feisty, horny little freak if you want, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's just that, for me, there's like a potency in having that foundation of
I totally agree. I love that you speak about this. Actually, it's really beautiful. I feel like this is really something so sacred and very rarely touched on and talked about, and it feels really, really wholesome and right, because it's a bit like if it's like bringing the deficit up to zero. You know, what's been in the dark, you know, where that pain has been, where there's the ignorance has been, where the lack of real love and self-love has been, where we're actually sexualizing ourselves to our own detriment, or sexualizing others to our detriment, or under-sexualizing, or whatever that means. I know it's like the language of this, but it's like bringing that up to that ground zero, like I said, healing, and coming into that fresh space of going, right, now I know what I don't want, now let me learn what I do want, and let it be safe and gentle and, you know, tender, and like a little plant or little baby, then grow something, so then you're flamboyant and confident and have whichever branches of your sexuality that you want to, you know, explore. But your foundations are rooted in that love, in that ability to be vulnerable, you know, in something that feels really real, like breathing, like presence, like you said. Libby, I feel this is life-changing for people. This is massive.
It was life-changing for me, you know. 5-6 years ago, I was working as an office manager in the city in London, and very unhappy, alcoholic, really, you know, not doing well, and realizing that this is something that I could express, and something that I could bravely step into and explore, and from a place of my own journey with it as well, has changed my life. So, you know, thank you. I feel so in alignment with this, and my only kind of hope and wish is that, you know, maybe even one person hears this and thinks differently about their genitals, or thinks differently about how they touch themselves or how they touch other people, and that it drops a little seed of curiosity around genitals and pleasure and arousal, and normalizes it, you know, makes it very normal.
Well, we've all got them, you know, and we were, you know, born because of them and born through them, and they're like holy, you know, the vagina is like a holy portal, isn't it? It's like there is no life on earth without that vagina.
It's quite incredible.
It is. And personally, I've told my story before on here about how I gave birth to both my boys, home birth, absolutely blissed out.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Just got that bloop, 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 bloop dying sound from my...
I've got you back. You sound good.
My headphones died.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, putting it into the context of birthing. And actually, that's one time when I really did it intuitively without even thinking, is I'm giving birth naturally on a floor in Australia to my first, I shouldn't say this actually. I just realised that my kids go, you did what? And you talked about that. I had an orgasmic couple of home births, wow. You know, and I discovered that, you know, relaxing myself, it just was completely intuitive. Like, you got a sore neck, you do that. Right? You got a stiff muscle, you do that. It was so intuitive. I wasn't even thinking about it, because I'm going to have a baby's head come out of me in a minute, and I just want to be soft. You know, it's like
a whole other, you know, that's a whole other conversation. That's
a whole other ball game, isn't it?
Bits of genital massage, you know, it's not just for pleasure. There's so many other of this stuff.
But yeah, I mean, really, why not have at your root, this is where I was going with that, in the orgasmic birth, but an orgasmic play, an orgasmic connection, an orgasmic presence, in breathing. You know, how can it be so wrong to have that heightened physical bliss with the spiritual bliss that can come with it as well, and emotional ecstasy and satisfaction you can have, like, throughout your entire body spirit system. You can have it all, like spiritual high. And what about also that physical base chakra rooted in your life, is rooted in pleasure, orgasmic blissful pleasure. What kind of life, and you can say this to me, guys, on the comments box, if your life was rooted in absolute blissful pleasure, connection, real, genuine, safe, loving, vulnerable, no agenda connection with yourself and with other, what would that be like?
Oh, I mean, oof, yeah.
This is how we're made. Let it out. You know, we're made this way. Yeah. It's what we truly want, it's who we truly are, I believe. I don't just believe that, I know it's true.
We get these moments, you know, we get little bite sizes of it if we're brave enough to let it in, if we're brave enough to open our eyes and open our hearts. And
that's what it is, right? Being brave enough. Brave enough maybe to stop living in pain and suffering in the old way that really never worked for anybody, and actually just come home to our innocence, to our inner child, to our playfulness, we need connection, we need touch, we need safety, we need love. Yeah, just to breathe with someone. We need to be in pleasure. To be who we are, we really need to be in pleasure. Yeah. I think you're a really courageous, really amazing woman, Libby. I honestly do. I think, well, from what you just said, 6 years ago, you were working in an office. Do you have a partnership, by the way? Are you in a relationship?
I'm in a very, very deeply loving relationship with an incredible man who, meeting him and being in relationship with him supports me to give my gifts to the world. So I'm, I don't know if he will see this, but I can hear him in the shower next door. It takes, I've said this to him many times, it takes a very rare and strong person to be in a relationship with someone who does something that the thing that I do, there would be many people, many men in the world who would not be able to handle or lovingly support choices that I have made for my life. So yeah, I am living in that pleasure and bliss through that relationship, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Yeah.
Did you have to learn together? Did you learn together? Was it an exploration like we just talked about?
I was doing this work before I met him, so it was kind of it was easier for me to show up as myself, I think, than had we been in relationship. And well, I don't know, it's another parallel universe. If we had already been in relationship and I had then chosen to move into this stuff, then maybe would have been a different dynamic that was created, and other challenges that we would have to face to move into that space. But the way that it is, I was already on this path and knowing that this was my passion and my purpose. So I was gifted this person to meet me and support me in doing that. So yeah.
I think you're a rare gift. I do. I think you're a gem in the world. And I think, well, I get a very strong sense that there is a lot more knowledge and wisdom to come through you. And it may be only in the last few years that you've started doing this, but I feel like you got lifetimes or something, a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, I don't know. My logical brain doesn't quite get around kind of past life stuff. Or
I don't mean to go there. What I mean is more than you could go, okay, I got this much information in my life so far, so this is what I know. I have a sense that you have this enormous like field of information that just wants to come through, wherever that comes from. I feel like you're the perfect conduit to bring through this, I would call it maybe sacred sexuality, or I don't know, whatever words, but or just real sexuality and teaching to people.
Playfulness you talked about at the beginning, that's for me is the removal of shame and wrongness from our pleasure and our sexuality, to be playful and childlike and innocent and joyful with it.
Thank you so much. I think you're so courageous and very, very beautiful inside and out.
You, and such a beautiful connection to meet you as well. So I'm super grateful.
I want us to talk again. I'm just going to see if anybody else here has any questions for you. I'm actually late for a dinner date. Girls, if you're on Facebook in the restaurant, sorry I'm late. I'm not. No, but I honestly kind of don't want to hurry away from you, because I feel like there's so many different things. Will you come back, Libby? Because there's so many things we could talk about here. But I'd love to know if anybody else has any questions before we hop off. Autumn is saying she went to Catholic school, so she was taught shame by the pervs. Yeah.
I grew up in Roman Catholic. It's there's a lot to unpack or unpick there, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. My dad came from a Catholic family and my mum from a Protestant family, and I was like, I don't connect to either of those two, but that conditioning is definitely in there, and it's something that needed cleaning out. I think we've all got, that's a whole another conversation, that religious context, the damage, I guess. And what I'm guessing, you know, was actually trying to, you know, help keep us safe, but actually maybe really didn't, you know, maybe there was a good intention to begin with, who knows, but somehow it went wrong. Somehow it maybe hasn't kept us safe. I don't think keeping people in ignorance is a way of keeping people safe, personally.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Right, knowledge is power. So if you want knowledge, more knowledge about this, because just say again the kind of things that you can help people with, like put it into that physical context, you know, if they're struggling with certain things, who can you help?
The kind of practical things that my sessions can help you address are specific sexual dysfunction issues like erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, vaginismus, inability to orgasm with a partner, any kind of anxiety or performance anxiety around sex, around intimacy. I'm not a trauma therapist, but my work is trauma informed, so kind of processing and working with traumatic experiences with relation to your genitals, to sex. I work a lot with couples who want to learn how to be intimate with each other in a different way. So if you feel like your sex life is kind of, you know, in a routine, and maybe you need just a little injection of a new idea or new inspiration or new approach, that's what I do. It's the same thing for masturbation. If you are in what you consider to be unhealthy habits or routines or behaviors with your masturbation, whether that's a dependence on porn or a total lack of masturbation in your life, and you want to begin a kind of mindful masturbation practice, that's something I work with. And just, you know, there may be kind of those specific issues, but then it may just be that you're curious about pleasure and about different sensations. Maybe you just really like full body massage, and you want to integrate your genitals and anal touch into that in a really shame-free way. So that's the kind of
I think it's absolutely brilliant for people to come and learn about this. Oh, I think I lost a bit of your sound there at the end, Libby.
Oh, I just have anything else in between.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about your courses real quick. You mentioned them a little bit. You have online courses. You can actually go, I've put the link so you can go and click on Libby's website. You do have courses there for couples or for male or for female or whatever. There's a whole range of courses there. I'm really excited to go and try. You know, it's not, I've never done a course on anything like this before, although you know, for me, it's everything I do is kind of very, you know, intuitive and I guess play orientated to see what happens, you know. but I'm quite excited about actually getting another perspective or getting some actual real guidance from you. I'm quite excited about that.
Thank you. I hope that you enjoy it, and yeah, that it brings a new layer of sensation and pleasure and exploration to you and your partnership.
I think it's just all about, for me, you know, inclusivity. If anything is separated from the rest of the whole, then it's going to go into decline. Nobody wants to have a part of themselves cut off or ignored. No one wants to be segregated and cut off in society. We all want to belong. We're a whole system, a whole body. We're a whole society. We're a whole humanity. And so when something has not really had that connection into the wholeness, it's going to be wounded. And let's face it, we all have a different degree of wounding in that space. So what's not to benefit from that, right? What is not to benefit? We can all benefit from Libby's courses, is where I'm going with this. I think we can all benefit from your courses, Libby. I think it's going to be really powerful for people to reclaim their sexual energy. And this is something we didn't really go into, the power of the sexual energy. We've got to talk about that, right? Oh my goodness, on another video, because I'm getting goose pimples. Right use, misuse, good use, or empowerment through sexual energy. So, but to do your course, I feel like it's that exploration, starting with the innocent, the touch, the vulnerability, to take back that power of your own body, of your own sexual energy. Learn to do that with another human being where you have no agenda over them other than to connect and really make love. That was a lot of words, but I just really want people to go and try your courses. I think it's going to be amazing, especially if it was coupled with I Love You Me, I'm thinking, which is amazing at trauma release. And if the two were put together, I'm like, Libby, what's possible?
I read I was reading your website today, and the kind of the I Love You Me method is a really great complement to things like body work and Reiki and massage.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, used alongside those, and those two things blend. So that's something that, you know, we need to maybe schedule in like a call a month or something. We've got so much to discuss. But
we should have a regular show, me and you.
A chat every month.
Why not? I think we should. You know what? I actually think you should be on radio or something every week for people. I think you're extraordinary and amazing and wonderful. So anyway, if people want to know more about you and they want to meet you, or you know, get some help from Libby, find out what she does, please go to her website. Libby, we promised them a coupon code. Can they get a discount because they've been on the self-love talks?
Yes, anyone who has been listening and wants to know more about touching genitals, exploring their own genitals, your partner's genitals, future partner's genitals, the websites Tara's going to put on online-training.touchofhappiness.co.uk.
Mm-hmm.
There's combined courses in there where you can have access to touch techniques for male genitals and female genitals. That's like a blended one. Mm-hmm. Or only interested in massaging male genitals or female genitals, so you can kind of choose what you want.
The full range.
Yeah, and if you use the coupon code GMTPO20, I'll say that again: G for golf, M for mother, T for tango, P for Peter, O for Oscar, 20. At the checkout, that will give you 20% off.
Wow.
20% off.
GMTPO20 to get 20% off your courses. That is really, really generous. Go and get them. I'm not making money out of this, by the way. I'm just really enthusiastic about Libby. I have no agenda. I'm completely like zero agenda on this, other than actually I just want people to heal and to love and to be happy and be in pleasure and just heal themselves and heal the world. You know, that's what I care about. So yeah, I do have an agenda, but you know.
And I would want people to be, you know, more comfortable and relaxed and connected and well touched, basically.
Well touched. And especially since all this nonsense, I'm going to use a good word, not all this nonsense about distancing and no touching, and I think people are absolutely starving and going crazy, and that's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. You take something away from somebody that they absolutely need, and then see what their reactions are going to be as a distorted.
I mean, again, another whole conversation we could have about how this whole thing is kind of a blessing in a way, my perspective, because it is highlighting to people how essential touch is, and actually how lacking it was before all the whole social
exactly distance. Right, highlighted a problem already there.
This is like just a magnifying glass.
Yeah, and let's not make that social distancing gap get any bigger or any longer. Let's close the gap. Let's touch, let's love, let's come back home. to our true selves. Libby, you're amazing. I love you so much. Thank you for your beauty and your guidance and your sweetness and everything that you bring. Everyone go and check Libby out. And loads of love, Libby. I'll see you next time. We're going to have I reckon we're going to do this again.
Enjoy your dinner, darling.
Oh, well. See you soon, girls. Loads of love, everybody. Thanks for watching. And get that coupon code. Goodbye.